I'm Dana, and this is my 4th time getting over 15 minutes into filming this video before my phone's like, well, storage is full, honey, and we only recorded 10 seconds of that. Getting to the meat of the video, though, before it cuts me off again, I've been seeing a lot of shittiness on TikTok on people talking about being autistic and unemployed and on benefits especially, because people hate people that are on benefits. It's a whole thing. It's insane and massively increases the stigma, even though most people that are on benefits feel pretty damn bad about it already, so you don't really need to. So as you can tell, they're very much in the same position as me, and the comments that they were getting really annoyed me. And I thought about it long and hard because I wanted to make a very angry, ranty video about it. And I decided the best way to tackle ignorance is to educate. And if they won't be educated and stop being ignorant, that probably means they're a twat and I don't want anything to do with them anyway. But yeah, that does mean that I'm gonna have another video here where I basically overshare all of my issues and struggles and bullshit so that other people feel less alone and so that some people be less dicks online, please. So yeah, I'm just going to go into all the reasons that I struggle a lot to work as an autistic person. To give you the rundown of my work and history, I did 3 days or less in multiple agency jobs at Amazon, just random crap essentially. Oh, that's a lie. I had like a 4-month paper job when I was about 12, 13. And then I had like less than 3 days at many different places. And then I what was that? And then I worked 2 years at what I thought was my dream job until I realised I was being taken advantage of, and that was an entire thing. So if you really wanted to get into it with the different types of autism, which I disagree with, I think it's bullshit, but everyone else seems to want to go into it, and I'm aware that it's a thing essentially that I have to give into to help people understand sometimes. So I'm personally seen as a low support needs autistic person, which is a better way of saying high functioning autistic person. I think they both sound pretty awful at this point, honestly. I did initially think that low support needs sounded better, but I no longer think it does. So I don't know what you really want to call me, and I think autistic does it fine. But obviously, I'm someone who can mask and for the most part come across as being fairly neurotypical, fairly holistic. You know, I'm verbal, I can communicate with people. People tend to think that I am holistic until they realise how awkward I am, or until I unmask, or until I get really anxious. And that's the thing, I think, in work that's been a struggle for me, is people think that I'm not autistic until suddenly they can see that I'm autistic. But getting into the reasons that I really struggle to work, I want to start with, before we even get to work, before we even get to thinking about getting to work, the interview process for jobs is not disability friendly. You know, like I was gonna say like neurodivergent friendly, but then I thought of all the jobs that I've been to where they've taken me up multiple flights of stairs, and like that place didn't have elevator, you know, like no. They're just not accessible for the vast majority of people with any sort of disability, I think. And especially as an autistic person, all of the things that you're told will make you successful in an interview are things that I either straight up can't do or make me horrifically uncomfortable. I've been told so many times to make good eye contact with people in an interview, and I don't know what good eye contact is. Either I'm not looking them in the eye in the interview so that I can speak and articulate myself and actually answer their questions and ask some of my own, or I can look in their eyes the entire time and not process a word they say and have no reply to anything. I'm not someone that can hype myself up. I'm not someone that can really lie very well. Interviews are horrible for me. Like, I've been to a lot of interviews. I've done so many fucking interviews, and I've still only had like 5 jobs. Because, like, an autistic person is not suited to the interview environment. They want so much from you, and they want such a performance that, like, even neurotypical people that are going in and putting on a performance, you know, like I know you guys are masking heavily in there too, and I have to like mask to the equivalent of a neurotypical person masking in order to get the job. I'm not getting it, am I? You know, and when I've brought this up in the past, I've had a lot of people tell me I should get a better education so that I can get a career instead of just a job. And if anyone wants to pay £700 for each of my A-level so I can then go to university, and if you wanted to pay the several thousands of pounds each term of that costs, I'd be more than up for it. But I don't think my mental health would last. And I sure as hell don't have that money. So, I very rarely get jobs through interviews at this point. I know one guy who gives me bits of work as and when he can, and sometimes I manage to actually show up and do it for him. And quite often, I end up cancelling on him or otherwise pulling out and feeling absolutely horrific about it, even though he's actually really, really amazing, actually. By far, like, the most accommodating person I've come across. Absolutely delightful person to work with. So, sometimes I get to work at Comic-Con. Cool as shit, absolute dream job. I mean, I'm doing like merch stands upstairs. It's not like I'm like escorting Elijah Wood, but you know, it's real fucking cool. It's an incredible opportunity to have. I get to go to Comic-Con for free and work at it, and it's all a good time. I usually have to be there for 9 a.m. As an autistic person, I have an extremely rigid morning routine. And if I don't get to do my morning routine, it throws off my entire day. I feel incredibly anxious. I feel like something's going to go wrong at any given moment. It's a bad time for me if I miss my morning routine. So, Comic-Con starts at 9 a.m. I need to be there for 9 a.m. So, my mind is like, that means 8:45. I need to be a little bit early. You can't be late. Being on time is being late. I need to be 15 minutes early, which means that for the time that it takes to get the train and leave the house, if I was going to go exactly like to the minute, I would need to leave at, say, 8:15. But my brain is like, yeah, but what if we're on the way there, we slip and fall, and you injure an ankle, you've got a sprained ankle, so you actually start limping and it takes you a bit longer to walk there. You'll need extra time, won't you? You know, if there's a train cancellation or a like, we don't know what's going to happen. So we're going to add an extra 15 minutes to that and say we need to leave at 8. A full hour before we need to be at the place that's half an hour away. Say my morning routine takes an hour and a half, it takes about that. So that puts us to needing to be up at 6:30. However, I also need time to get dressed. I don't know if the clothes that I've chosen out for the morning are going to cause me sensory issues when I put them on in the morning. So I need to allocate extra time to actually be able to change my outfit if it comes to it. And I'll probably want an extra cup of tea because I'll be really anxious. And when I'm really anxious, I usually wake up and vomit. So I want to allow extra time for vomiting in the morning. So before you know it, I don't have to be there until 9. But I need to wake up at like fucking 4:30 to do all the shit that I need to do to feel like I can actually cope with the rest of the day. I can't do that every day. I can't get up at 4:30 a.m. every day for a job that I'm in at 9 a.m. and then work until like 5, or let's face it, no one's working 9 to 5 anymore. I'd be working like 9 till 8 or 9 till 9 or something to go home and immediately fall asleep because I've been up since 4:30. You know, it's just not sustainable. I can't do it. I physically cannot do that. But changing any of the way that I do things, changing things around, will cause me extreme distress. I will get incredibly anxious. I won't be able to cope with that, you know? So what do? I'd love solutions. Like, this is a very, like, I don't know what to do, and if anyone has solutions, I'll take them, because I don't want to be someone who is unemployed. I'd love to have a job that I can do, but I'm not finding one. Now we've managed to get to the job, I'm going to go off of my experience of jobs in the past, which has been, I worked in a supermarket for 3 days. I worked at Amazon for 2 days, and then had a whole day where I got like taken around the building because I was super anxious and they were trying to figure out what to do with me. I did one single shift in a care home and it was one of the worst things I've ever done. I did a shift at the burger stand outside Anfield football ground. You know, as someone who doesn't have an education and doesn't have a career, they're the types of jobs that I can get and have to take. And even then, they're hard to get. So now my little autistic ass is showing up. I'm in a uniform. That's been the case in most jobs that I've done. I've had to wear, it's not really a uniform, but it's a specific type of clothing and a specific colour, you know the drill. It's like formal clothing or whatever. A sensory nightmare is what I'd call it. I hate it. I feel like I want to crawl out of my body because the clothes feel all wrong and disgusting and horrible. You know, even when I've bought clothes that do fit, they're not too tight. It feels too tight. And it's, you know, shirts, like the types of black shirts that you have to wear for workplaces, just, it's all not a good time. But I can deal with it. I'm someone who is prepared to deal with sensory discomfort for fashion, to be quite honest with you. I will deal with it. What I can't deal with is other fucking people. Colleagues, I recognise that they're trying to be nice, you know, like I've met some lovely people in the jobs that I've had. I want to say this doesn't apply to the people I work with at Comic-Con. They're like a little team and I know them better than like a random colleague at this 2-day job. This doesn't, not that they fucking watch my videos, but it doesn't apply to them. They're great. But at other places, it's like, I nearly always find someone who's a little bit older than me, or a lot older than me in some cases, and they sort of take me under the wing and they help me out, because I clearly just flounder at everything. You know, people can really clearly tell that I'm struggling. So I'm very, very lucky that most people are quite nice, I think, in the world, as much as I have a disgusting view of the world right now. I think most people do try to be nice. So I've predominantly met someone who will take me under the wing and try and help me out. But even then, speaking to that colleague will make me super fucking anxious. I really struggle to communicate with that person. In every job that I've had where I've had like a mentor, essentially, I've really struggled to communicate with that person. Being around them makes me very anxious and on edge, because I feel like I'm not doing good enough. You know, it's like I am actively making this person's job and life harder by being inept at the thing that I'm being paid to currently do. It's pathetic. It makes me feel awful. It makes me feel really bad, and it makes me feel really, really anxious. You know, and I basically haven't even done the job yet by this point. You know, then like I've got to speak to the public. You do realise the public are assholes, right? Like the general public are absolute dipshits. I fucking hate them. Like the fucking shift that I did at Anfield, the agency showed me how to like pour wine nicely with like the label facing outwards so they can see what year it is, and put your thumb in the dip at the bottom and use the silver spoons like this. You know, I'd really been taught some shit. And then I got there and got put in the burger shack. And, you know, listen to my accent. I'm not some classy bitch. I don't mind being in the fucking burger shack. What I do mind is someone eating a chicken nugget in front of me and then telling me that there weren't enough in the box. You know, it's not even like I like told that guy off. I was just like, oh, this man needs another chicken nugget, please. Sorry, I'm so sorry that you're having to cook more chicken. Oh, okay. You know, like I'm not done with what I'm saying. The colleagues are just like throwing things at me, and like things are happening, and I don't have like the time to process what the fuck is going on around me to respond appropriately. And I'm just making it more difficult. And frankly, honestly, in situations where it's like there's a load of deep fat fryers there, or when I'm working in a warehouse, I'm probably a fucking health and safety risk. Like, I get panic attacks. I have shutdowns. The last shift that I did at Sainsbury's a couple of Christmases ago now, I mean, I think I got fired from the agency for it, to be fair. They stopped contacting me after this. They'd given me a few days in the Sainsbury's, and I was just having the worst time of my fucking life. I thought I'd be okay. I was kind of excited about it because I was stocking shelves, and I was like, so I just go in, here's my boxes, putting stuff on shelves. That should be perfect. Except it was the Christmas time, and my manager kept coming and talking to me and being like, oh, you can do it quicker if you do this, this and this. And I can't deal with people telling me how to do my job. I'm sorry. Like, if it's dangerous or something, okay. But like, I have figured out the way that it is like logistically most efficient for me to do this for me. And you're just coming in here and telling me to do it in this way that's gonna confuse me and take up an extra step to remember to, like, fuck off. I'm sorry, I hated that manager. I'm so glad I only had them for a few days. You know, and outside of that, customers don't give a shit that you're there to stock shelves. The first few times that a customer was like, excuse me, do you know where this is? I was like, oh no, sorry, I'll just stock the shelves. And then I'd gotten so many dirty looks, and this one old man was like, oh, so is that actually all you do here then? And I was like, yes, it actually is. I mean, I wasn't. It's just like, yeah, because I can't respond to people. I can't fucking react to people in an appropriate way for their dickishness, essentially. But you know, even a job literally stacking shelves was too fucking social for me. And on the last day, I'd had so many people ask me where things were, and I'd been up and down this fucking shop trying to help them look for it, and having to make small talk with them while I was doing it, and having to make like little jokes to pass off how awkward I was. And this lady fucking threw cheese at me. She threw just a full ass fucking block of cheese at me. It was a whole thing. And I like stormed off into the bathrooms. I had a whole panic attack, had a whole meltdown, the type of, like, it wasn't quite a full meltdown, but it also like wasn't just a panic attack, you know, it was a whole thing. And then I walked home, and I told my partner at the time that I'd gotten the train, because the distance that I'd walked was kind of ridiculous. But you know, like, I'd left halfway through my shift, having just had like a whole distressing moment in the bathrooms, having socialised all day, being completely overwhelmed and like in distress. I didn't really like remember walking, like, again, it's like I remembered walking home, but it felt like it had happened in like 5 minutes instead of like 3.5 hours, you know? Like, it was just, I was walking out of Sainsbury's because I needed to leave because it was all too much, and then I was home, I'd walked it all and just been like, oh shit, that was fast. But it hadn't been fast at all. You know, it happened in high school quite a few times. I think that's a good example here, because everyone would be like, oh, you rebel, you think you're a rebel because you just walked out of class. And like, I didn't think I was a rebel. I didn't think I was anything. I hadn't decided to walk out of class, you know. Like, if I'd sat there and thought, like, should I walk out of class right now? I'd have been way too anxious to do it. I don't even like getting up in restaurants to go to the bathroom. I find that like anxiety inducing. You know, I wouldn't have chosen to get up and walk out of a classroom. And yet there were multiple times that I did it because I was just so overwhelmed, and it was just this like complete shutdown. And yeah, that's a major struggle when you're meant to have a job. You can't usually just fucking leave it. One of the jobs that I'll admit that I've just never given a chance, I've never even attempted, is call centres. And it's one of those where I've known 1,000,001 people that work at call centres. I very easily could have gotten a job in a call centre because I had an in, you know. It's one of the few places where I'm like, oh, I can network, I know people there. But I can't do phone calls. I fucking hate phone calls, like with an extreme passion. They make me shut down like nothing else. They give me such a panic. I don't even like personal phone calls. Literally, the only person I've ever enjoyed phone calls with is my girlfriend. Even like my ex-partner, I kept phone calls to a minimum and as short as possible. Even my own mother, I've never done like long phone calls with. I hate phone calls. I can't understand what they're saying. I can't process what's being said. The crackle and the static sounds like it's louder than everyone's voices all the time, no matter how loud the voice is. It's a real struggle. I hate phones. So I wouldn't last 2 minutes in a call centre, you know. I just wouldn't. I know that I'd have a meltdown in front of everyone. It'd be awful. And yet people still kind of want me to do it just to like prove that it would be horrible. And it's like, I've had enough experience in other places now to know that it's a disgusting idea. Go away. So yeah, I would list those as the main reasons that I really struggle to work. I am reluctant to say reasons that I can't work, because like I can. I work on my own stuff all the time. I'm, you know, like, I don't want to completely like toot my own horn, but I do tend to work quite hard on things. But you know, it's things like this, it's things like YouTube and Instagram. I just haven't been able to find a job that I can cope with. And I think that's the main issue for autistic people. You know, it's not that we can't work, it's that work environments don't work for us. You know, I think that's why, like, you know, I hope I didn't forget to say, like, lots of autistic people do have jobs and do work, but we're seeing like an influx of people in, you know, very specialised areas. Like the majority of autistic and other neurodivergent people I know are creatives of some sort. You know, they're self-employed like illustrators and freelancers. You know, I've seen tweets about how lots and lots of autistic men are being picked up into like STEM and other like coding and internet-based stuff. You know, there are jobs out there that do fit us, but in my experience, they tend to be like career jobs, and I don't have the education or the passion to drive myself through getting the education for it, you know? It's a whole thing. So yeah, if you're another autistic person, I hope this has been relatable to you. I hope this has maybe helped you realise that you're not alone, or it's normal to struggle, and I'd love to hear your opinions down in the comments so that I know that I'm not alone and I'm not just telling people things about myself for them to laugh at me. And if you're not autistic and you're not like neurodivergent and you don't relate to any of this, I hope maybe it's brought you a bit of extra understanding, a little bit of education for you today. And your voice is more than welcome to be added to the discussion, but please don't be rude. That's all. Like, it goes to everyone. Like, I'm not singling out the autistics. Please, nobody be rude in the comments of my videos. I would like it to be a discussion in every single video. I like that we talk to each other. Like, I've seen, like, I just really like the comment section. I like the little community that we've got going on here. And I feel really lucky to have you guys. And you really give me a lot of confidence to post videos like this, you know? Like, I wouldn't have posted this time last year, you know, because the fear of the reaction would have been much larger, whereas I know that I've got a good little base of people that are likely to reply now, and you guys bring me confidence and hope that people won't be horrible to me. So whoever you are, wherever you are, I hope you're having a lovely morning, evening, day, afternoon, week, month, year, and I'll see you again in a couple of days.